Good evening, everyone. Eric DJ O'Brien here. Normally, I've been reading my excerpts, just pointing the camera at my book, at the pages. I don't know if it's better for people as if I am reading my story to you at a campfire or something. So, this is my normal state of being t shirt, jeans. I'm a blue collar guy who's lived week to week. My entire life. I've never profited from my writing in my books. Um, I had an interview a couple weeks ago for the Tucson Festival of Books, and the interviewer told me that I had arrived, and I felt a bit uncomfortable with that statement. Arrived where? Because in 30 years of writing, my total royalties haven't even reached probably $300. So anyway, I guess I've arrived. So, having arrived, I'm going to begin the next episode of the book. And you guys can let me know if you prefer me reading it to you face to face or facing away. If you don't like looking at my ugly mug, you could just don't watch the camera. Listen. Okay. Next episode The King's Spy. Dwayne Deckel, King Redpool greeted. It's been quite a while. It has been a long journey, my lord. Have a seat, Redpool urged, and tell me about Sicily. Deckel pulled a dining chair out from under the side table and sat down, exhaustedly. Running his hand through his hair, he thought about where he should begin. Prince Ivan defeated the occupying force, but it cost him half of his knights. Jin Janglo arrived with a great fleet on the very morning of his final victory. Such a pity, Redpool noted condescendingly. Ivan is a likable man, but he is emotionally weak. Why, his own father abolished slavery in Safe Haven. Have you ever heard of such a thing? Never, my lord, Deckel agreed. And just how great is this force of Jin Janglo? From what I overheard, Deckel reported, he has 2 armies of at least 10,000 soldiers and a fleet large enough to transport them. That is a considerable force, Redpool agreed, but he will need at least 3 times that number in order to threaten me. There is more, my lord, Deckel replied, with a flash of horror in his eyes. On the eve of our departure, an entity came to me in the form of a giant owl. It gave me this and bade me to bring it to you. A scroll? Redpool observed. So curious. Lay it on my desk, and carefully. Yes, my king, Deckel responded, before complying with trembling hands. Summon Bram Goldright and list Windlass for me. I must know if this has been treated with poison. Yes, my king, he replied. And Deckel, Redpool directed, stick around. I may have another job for you. Of course, Deckel said before bowing, my king. Soon after he left, a man entered wearing casual clothing, baggy pants, and a linen shirt. His hair, mustache, and beard were pure white in color, and yet he possessed an unusually youthful appearance. Simple sandals protected his feet from the cold castle floor. How may I assist you, my lord? There, Redpool stated, while pointing toward the scroll. I need you to examine it. Reaching into the opening of his lapel, Bram produced a large, irregularly shaped clear crystal, securely fastened to a silver chain about his neck. Moving closer to the king's desk, he peered through the crystal and studied the object. What is the origin of this parchment? I'm not sure, Redpool asserted. Deckel claims that a gigantic owl gave it to him. Bram took a startled step backward. An owl, you say? Yes, Redpool confirmed, but huge, as tall as a man, and much stronger. If that is true, then this scroll could be dangerous indeed. There is a legend that the Draconian Queen can transform herself into the form of a giant owl at will. It is said that she is a sorceress of unimaginable power. The owl told him that the scroll is for me alone. I must study it with care, my lord. I suggest that you leave the room while I do so. If the scroll is cursed, Then my examination could release its magic. Very well, Redpool growled in frustration. Do whatever you need to. I have also summoned Mr. Windlass. He is an expert in identifying most known poisons. A wise precaution, my lord, but I sense that this scroll is merely a message for your eyes alone. Nevertheless, we must be cautious. Good luck to you, Redpool replied genuinely. I will return when I have the priest. I won't be long, Bram assured. Peering through the lens of his crystal, the scroll took on a completely new appearance beneath his sorcerer's gaze. Glowing red runes seemed to sprout and leap about the surface of the scroll, as well as dozens of tiny red spiders that seemed to run along the entire surface of it and then dive through the paper as if it was no more solid than water. A black-coiled serpent with a diamond-shaped head rested upon the wax seal that held the roll closed. It turned menacingly toward him as he gazed upon it. Opening its mouth, it hissed at him, its fangs bared and dripping venom. Interesting, he muttered, both frightened and amused by its magic. He had read about such sorcery, but never had he found the need to use such spells himself. Lowering the crystal, he returned it to its place against his chest and then left the room. Entering the guard's chamber, he left the attendant with a warning. I must retire to my library. Warn the king that my work here is not yet done. And most of all, do not let him touch that scroll. Yes, Master Bram, answered the man-at-arms. I'll see to it. His library was a large collection of his life's work and his passion for knowledge of all kinds. Bookcases and their contents lined 3 entire walls from floor to ceiling in a spacious 30 by 30-foot room. One shelf in particular held the tome that he had in mind. It was entitled Transformation and Malediction and Their Uses in Guardian Incantations. Removing the leather-bound book from the shelf, he blew the dust from its surface. It had been years since he had read it, but his memory was excellent, and he soon found the pages that he sought. He read the pertinent section very carefully, and its contents assured him that his previous suspicions were correct. The protective spells upon the scroll could not be removed without destroying it, and most likely along with the wizard attempting to do so. Only the intended recipient could break the seal without danger. Returning the book to the shelf, he left for the king's chamber. The footnote is malediction, which is a curse, an imprecation, or a slander. Okay. Lord Redpool and his priest were waiting for him in the guard's room. The scroll is protected by sorcery, my king. I cannot remove the curse placed upon the seal without destroying it and everything around it as well. Only you may break the seal and read its message without releasing the curse. How comforting, Redpool said with amusement. We have unraveled the mystery of the magic here, but what about the possibility of poison? If the paper was dipped in contact poison, Liss instructed, then Deckel would most likely be dead by now. If it comforts you, I can remove a small piece of the scroll and test it with alchemy. I'm afraid that tampering will release its magic, Bram assured them, and kill whoever attempts it. What manner of curses could be laid upon it? Most warding spells are designed to kill by fire, explosion, or electricity, my lord. Armor, Redpool considered. And gloves, then? I wouldn't recommend it, my king, Bram exclaimed. I wouldn't recommend it, my king, Bram explained. The armor would likely amplify any energy that could be released. Trust me, I have thoroughly researched this magic. Very well, then, Redpool replied with resolve. Lifting the scroll, he carefully broke the seal. A long, low hiss, as of an angry snake, then issued from it. Unrolling the parchment, a runic message written in black ink spoke to him in his mind as each rune melted from the page. Dear James, surely news of our imminent invasion has come to you like a dire omen. Release any thoughts that you may entertain the victory, for you must understand that no such outcome is possible for those who oppose Draconia, but rather Embrace the new role that you may play in the New World Order. Your prowess in battle, courage, and leadership are undeniable. Dragonian rule can preserve your high seat, along with the lives of your loyal subjects. This letter is an olive branch of peace between us, arriving in the form of a great victory, a success that will elevate you to the most glorious king in all of Verminor. Accomplish this task, win a supreme victory, and I will receive it as the beginning of a grand alliance between us. The task is simple. On the night of your midsummer festival, during the new moon and darkest night, the Sea Fox and his 11th Fleet will attack your city and armada in order to secure a landing point for invasion. Allow the first prong of their attack to enter Eitzel Harbor, then ensnare and destroy them. After the battle erupts, a second fleet will appear in reserve, but they will soon withdraw without engagement. Destroy the 11th Fleet, and you will gain honor beyond your dreams and a rightful place beside the Queen. Signed, the Owl. Pacing to the hearth, he held the parchment above the flames until it caught and then released it, watching it until it was gone. Never one to act rashly out of fear, greed, or foolishness, he considered the authenticity of the message. It disturbed him, for although he had no love of Dragonia, he knew that its strength would soon wax supreme. His grand sheltered harbor, industrious city, and fortifications made his kingdom a requisite military objective in any plan for invasion. He could resist and perhaps delay the inevitable, but at what cost? He and his people would ultimately fail, and the outcome of which would be misery, enslavement, torture, and death for most of his subjects. Alliance would ensure survival for the majority. If the document revealed the exact date and time of an attack, his victory would be simple to ensure. His naval commanders were capable and loyal Furmen who hated Dragonia and its endless campaign of conquest. If the 11th Fleet could be his to destroy, then they would hail him as a hero across the realm, and any later dealings with the Queen of Dragonia would be a separate matter. He would prepare the trap, and whether the 11th arrived or not, they would be ready. The head of the Sea Fox would soon be his to display, and his body would rot on the end of a pike, driven into the sand as a warning to other pirates like him, who might consider Eitzel to be a tempting target. Standing in front of his bedroom window, he was not even halfway up the slopes of the mountain range behind him, and yet he stood over 1,000 feet above the ocean and 5 miles from the mouth of Eitzel Harbor. Rolling hills of farmland covered all his lands to the north of the city, and southward were many villages and forests rich in game. Eitzel itself was the center of his power, with over 200,000 inhabitants and a standing army of 30,000 soldiers. His lands stretched north and south as far as his eyes could see, and far west into the forest of Darkwood. This was the land of his ancestors, and he would do whatever was necessary to ensure his rule. "What do you know of Dragonia's queen?" Redpool asked solemnly. "Only that she is said to be powerful and ancient beyond knowing," Bram instructed. "But what are her policies?" James urged. "And how does she rule?" "That much I do know. The Dock-el-Far, a matriarchal race, rules Dragonia. No male has ever reigned, and the legend says that Afra is the Empire's first immortal queen. The Dock-el-Far worship their goddess Lothtia, a deity of the underworld. Dragonian subjects must revere her and none other under penalty of death. We would call Lothtia a demon, for surely her cause is solely one of darkness and evil. Many kingdoms have fallen under her rule, Hispania and Calfret. What has become of their people?" "Calfret surrendered in alliance," Bram instructed. "Their people are still much the same as they were before. They are not free, but perhaps they never were." "And what of Hispania?" Redpool implored. They resisted for years until their armies were almost entirely destroyed. Only then did they surrender and pay homage. What was left of Hispania's military now fights for the Queen as warrior slaves. Their firstborn sons are enslaved and can never be free. They branded the royal family as terrorists and destroyed them down to the last child of the remotest bloodline. Some say that one of Hispania's naval commanders has somehow risen to the rank of High Admiral. Gravina, I think that is his name. But what dark pact he has made with the Queen to accomplish this, I do not know. I see, Redpool said thoughtfully. The message was a warning from Queen Afra. On the night of the summer festival, the 11th Fleet will attack us. And does the Queen then request our surrender? Quite the contrary, Redpool stated. She wants our help in destroying them. That is odd, Bram replied in astonishment, and will require some thought. Mr. Windlass, Redpool bid his powerful, battle-scarred priest of Crom Cruach. Summon my commanders at once, both of the Navy and of the Army. We must prepare our defenses. Assembling with his leaders, they carefully laid their plans for defense. 2 weeks were not a lot of time to prepare, but Eitzel was ever ready to fight, and their fortifications were well equipped. If the 11th Fleet did indeed attack, then they would seal their fate. And the footnote is about Crom Cruach, which refers throughout this work to the Celtic god of thunder of ancient pagan Ireland, and is a tribute to Robert E. Howard's god Crom of the Conan series. Crom Cruach and Crom. Okay, and we'll leave off here, and we'll begin the next episode at the top of page 271 with the chapter entitled War Council. Thank you. You guys can let me know if you prefer me to read this way, facing the camera, or face the other way where you only see the pages. Thank you. Have a great night. Good luck to all.